On today's Odd Coaches podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis host a special Father's Day episode with their children, AJ Francis and KJ Adams. AJ Francis, also known as Top Dollar, is a member of the hottest faction in the WWE, Hit Row, seen on NXT every Tuesday on the USA Network. He's also the host of the highly rated Sunday night show, WWE's Most Wanted Treasures on A&E. KJ Adams is a rising 7th grade honor roll student athlete who plays football and basketball. Welcome to today's show. Dr. Keith Adams is the president of the CKA Save Project, a nonprofit organization designed to assist student athletes and the people who work with them through educational and professional development. He is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college levels. He has won numerous championships and epitomizes professionalism. Coach Mike Franchise Francis is one of the most successful football and basketball coaches in the state of Maryland. He too is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college level and is self-admittedly a little rough around the edges. Both men have mentored countless student athletes, teachers, and coaches using their unique methods and approaches to leadership. Both men also share a unique and special friendship that was cultivated often through their unique perspective of life and leadership. Dr. Adams through his extensive educational background and Coach Francis through his life experiences. Can these two men share a podcast without driving each other crazy? Welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Dr. Keith Adams, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. With me today, as always, is my tag team partner, and I'll actually say it, my Alpha to my Seeker, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, and bang, 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 that is a shoot. Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, this is going to be interesting today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. As usual, let's get this thing started with our special guest today.
All right. So as previously advertised on the World Wide Web and the Twitter sphere, this is a special Father's Day episode where both our sons are with us. We will allow them the opportunity to just say, hello, my name is, and then we will figure out how we're going to do this because we're never on video anyway. So let's start off with possibly the hottest act going in the business. People know of my wrestling fandom. For 40 years, I have been in and out and all around wrestling, and quite frankly, I am entertained, and that's a big deal. I'm enjoying the work, both in ring and as well as on A&E. So, AJ, it's a pleasure to see you again. You just don't remember, but I have seen you grow throughout, and it's a wonderful opportunity to say hello to you. Welcome, sir.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah, the A&E show is really hot. It's way better than it came out way better than I could have even imagined. Like, it's one of those things that, like, when I'm filming it, I'm like, this is great. Like, this is incredible. But, like, you never know how it's going to play with the edits and, like, what they decide to put in the show and what they decide to leave out the show. You never know. So, like, to see not only that I love the show, but at the same exact time, nobody really has bad reviews for it. Nobody really has any problems with the show, which, as you know, if you're a wrestling fans hate everything. You know, they hate everything. So to have them not hate the show is huge. And then obviously Hit Row is hot on NXT right now. We really are getting ready to try to take NXT over. And it's cool because, you know, this is the same thing I've been doing for years. So, like, to get the validation of getting to WWE and then giving you the ball and being like, yeah, do what you want to do. And then you go out and it works immediately. And from that point forward, you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I ain't got to worry about nobody else.
And for me, it is my pleasure to introduce from my own loins, if you will, my son, Keith Jr. And Keith, how are you today? And welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast.
I'm doing good today. Like, it just feels good to be surrounded by greatness in this room. Like, with a rising star in NXT, my dad, And Coach Francis, it's just an honor.
All right. So I am going to, again, do what we do. And the first question I want to ask the Sons, both Coach Franchise and I are air quote local celebrities, whatever that means. We've been teaching, we've been coaching for a lot of years. And AJ, when you were growing up, what was it like to be Coach Francis's son? Because I am sure you've got a story or two to tell.
Honestly, everybody knew my dad, and I always thought that was weird because my dad was just a high school basketball coach, which is no disrespect to high school basketball coaches or my dad, but it's just like he was a high school basketball coach, but everybody knew him. Like, everybody would talk about him. Everybody would like tell me stories about him, and everybody would, because of that, be interested in me. And then I've had the support of this community in Maryland my entire life because of the groundwork that my dad laid and then my own ability on top of that. So like the craziest part to me was always that like my dad was like you said it perfect, like a local celebrity, but like when I would go, places with him elsewhere, he's my dad. And like, it wouldn't just be local because like coaches that like Coach Calipari and other big coaches, throughout the entire nation would know who my pops was, which is crazy to me because, like I said, he was a high school basketball coach. Like if he was a D1 basketball coach or an NBA basketball coach, even an NBA assistant coach, I'd be like, all right, I got it. But he was a high school basketball coach that everybody in the community knew, and that was always crazy to me.
KJ, same question. What's it like? Because you're at the beginning of your sports career, if you will, and you're doing football, you're doing basketball, and we're out. And how are your thoughts on people knowing who your dad is?
It's just like most of the time when I go somewhere, whether it's like at a football game or in a gym, like it's one of my dad's players or another coach or something. Like I always see them, and then I end up shaking a hand, and then they keep saying that they've known me since I was like a little kid, and like I just think it's kind of funny because I meet so many people that my dad has been in contact with.
All right, I'm going to tag this into Coach Franchise. Mike, your son has eclipsed you in terms of local stardom as he is a national figure.
Yes.
Tell me your thoughts on how this is working out for you on this flipped role.
It's good. I say people all the time, like at one point I went from Coach Francis or Franchise to AJ's dad. I think that was the greatest feeling I had when he was about 12, 13 when it started to flip, and everybody was like, oh yeah, that's AJ's dad. And to me, that was the biggest feeling accomplished that I had, because I always wanted to make sure his life was better than mine, that he had a bigger platform, and he was much more successful and got a head start, long before myself, and was able to do many things and accomplish everything he wanted to accomplish.
Well, I've got to tag in on this one as well. Coach, in 2017, I actually stepped away fully from being in day-to-day athletics. And the main reason was because I just wanted to be Keith's dad. So to be able to go to his football games and hold the box, that's my job, and I'm happy to do it. To go to his basketball games and run the clock or do the scorebook. It brings me the biggest joy is just to stop, get off the ride. And as much as I miss coaching, as much as I miss the interaction, it's things like the OddCoaches podcast that keeps me going with that. So on that note, we are going to pause and take a break, and we'll be back on the OddCoaches podcast.
The vision of the CKA SAVE project is to use the combination of academics and athletics as a catalyst to lifelong success. Thus, the CKA SAVE project works to improve student-athlete academic and athletic performance by assisting student-athletes with transitional and transferable skills such as time management and organizational skills, along with the ability to self-advocate to help improve performance. However, we cannot do our work without the help of supporters like you. Consider donating to the CKA Save Project. We accept tax-deductible contributions in a number of ways, including Venmo and Cash App at CKA Save Project, or directly at the main page of our website, www.ckasaveproject.org. Simply click the donate button. We thank you in advance for your continued support.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am Dr. Keith Adams, along with my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, and this is an extremely special episode, and I hope I'm not too misty out. I'm glad this is not being seen, because I'm just enjoying the love and respect in the room. And Coach Franchise, I want to toss this segment over to you. You've got some questions for our sons.
Yeah, guys. First of all, thank you both for joining us. We really appreciate this. This is probably the best Father's Day gift somebody could get. I hope you guys someday feel the pride and the level of respect we feel as fathers from having you two with us today and just having you in our life in general. My question for you was, how is your relationship gotten stronger with athletics, being your dad as a coach? Like, a lot of people ask that question. How do you feel? Is it strengthen your relationship, or are there times when you wish that it wasn't dad and just dad, or, explain that to me.
I can't speak for everybody else, but like, I always liked sports, always did. And like, my dad was a coach of sports. And when I played those sports, I was really good. So like, I loved sports, and the fact that my dad was a coach made my access to them that much easier. And not just my access to sports, but my access to doing things the right way, going to the right basketball camps, like Eastern Invitational, like ABCD camp, like 5-star basketball camp. If your dad's not a coach, he might not know about these camps. When the only reason that I got so many scholarships that I did is because me and my dad hit the road in our car and drove from summer camp to summer camp, Georgia Tech to Florida State to wherever the hell, Wake Forest, or Virginia, Penn State, all over the place. Rutgers, just to get eyes on me. And my dad knew that was the best way to get recruited. And I got a lot of scholarships doing exactly that. And other people's parents who are coaches don't have the access to that information. So they're in the dark. And the easiest way to find your way out is to find the light.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to agree with AJ here, because my dad's a coach and I get a lot of opportunities at summer camps. Like Gonzaga's football camp, I go to the Mathis basketball camp. And just next week, I'm going to go to Gonzaga's basketball camp. So I'm getting a lot of opportunities. And my dad's a coach, so I get gym time sometimes. And it's just great opportunities.
I thank y'all for both answering that, but it also kind of hurts, because there's kids we coach nowadays, and we'll tell them the same thing we tell you guys, and we want the same thing that we want for you guys. And I always tell my players, I don't want no more or no less from you or for you than my own son. All right. But then they don't listen to that advice. When I tell them, you need to go to this camp, you need to go here if you want to be seen, it's like, oh no, my 7-on-7 coach said this, my AAU coach said this, my uncle who never left the neighborhood said this. I literally had a guy tell me, he's like, coach, we got this from here on out. We know what it's like with recruiting. Yeah, I see that young man every time I go to the gas station. And they didn't want to do it the way that it's set up. And I don't think people don't realize there is a plan and there's a process. And a lot of people don't trust the process. But thank you guys for answering that. Coach, you want to add to that?
Yeah, and I'm glad you segued that. One of the reasons why the CKA Safe Project exists in the first place is because when I was a high school coach, I did what was done for me. You always put your players first. You want to put your players in the best possible position they can be in. And if we're going on a visit, it was not uncommon for me to take players from other schools to visits. And because we're in competition for 32 minutes a game in high school. after that, man, come on, let's go help. And then as I became a college coach and you're in gyms and you're recruiting and you're all over the place, you're seeing that talented young scholars, as I like to say, aren't getting opportunities that you think they should. And then when you delve deeper into their academic background, you see part of the reason why they're not getting these opportunities is because they haven't found the proper balance between academic and athletic motivation. So when I did my doctoral research, it took me 6 years to do my entire study because I did it on Division I student athlete, academic and athletic motivation. And when I ask people about helping with something athletic, they're all over the place. Let me help, let me do this. But when you ask that academic piece, yeah, I got a lot of resistance. And CK is releasing our book in the fall that goes about finding a better balance between academics and athletics. We have moved into the consulting piece more so than the previous events that we used to run to gain exposure, because with name, image, and likeness, because of the transfer portal, because of all of the different things that are going on, student athletes need a voice. Parents need independent advice and counsel to best help them. So that is one of the things that we're trying to do ourselves.
I got one question. Just, I know KJ, you're not at this level yet, but AJ, I always say that the difference between professional athletes, the best is confidence. We all, the athletic ability, speed, and all that agility is one thing, but confidence-wise, when did you know that you were going to be a high-level athlete, a potential professional athlete? When did you know?
I'd say I knew I was going to be a pro athlete when I wanted to be a pro athlete. I knew that I could be a pro athlete when I was like 10 years old. And the real reason is because up until I was like 10 years old, I only played with kids my own age. And I dominated kids my own age in every sport that I played. So I knew that for kids my own age, I was good. But, that's just kids I'm playing in my local community. So I might be the best from my area, but that don't mean that I'm the best. So then when I started traveling more and not only playing against people from different areas, but playing against kids that were older than me, and I was still better than them, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to be real special at this. And that's really when I started dedicating myself to my athletic future, because I knew that I couldn't go to college without a scholarship. Like, that wasn't a secret in our household. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I knew that. So I knew that not everybody needs to go to college, but if you are not one of the very few people that can be successful without it, then you need to go to college. And so I decided that was what I wanted to do at a very young age. And I mean, you mentioned it, confidence. Like, when I was a kid, one of the best pieces of advice you ever gave me was you told me, they're not better than you. I was like, damn, they're not better than me. Like, you're right. like, why am I letting them do things? Like, I'm playing basketball like it's a game, not like this is my chance to shine. You know what I'm saying? And once I started putting that, like, I wanted to dominate every single person that I played. I wanted to prove why I was the baddest thing walking. And that confidence that I had in myself just amplified my play, because if I'm not playing good, I don't get in my own head because I know I'm nice. So I can continue and push through it and then eventually get on. How many times in my career, whether it be high school, college, or the NFL, first quarter was okay, second quarter was all right, third quarter was all right, fourth quarter I was on. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's confidence in yourself. And then if you are playing good and you got that confidence in yourself, then nobody can touch you. And now you the man, and there's nothing that anyone can do to stop you. And that works in every sport. So, like, just having that mentality of, they're not better than you. Like, nobody's that good. And just internalizing that. And I've used that my whole life, and it's the reason why I'm as successful as I am today.
And AJ, I'm glad you said that, because I want to segue and ask Keith, what a lot of folks out there don't know out there in TV land, to quote a wrestler from yesteryear. Keith is in French immersion, and he's been in French immersion since kindergarten, if I'm not mistaken, or first grade. And one of the reasons why he's in French immersion, and as his parents, both of his parents, is because what makes you different? What makes you better? Whether that's academically, whether that's athletically. And Keith, can you talk a little bit about how French immersion and being in a dual language has helped you out?
So I think being able to talk multiple languages, being bilingual, like would help me like with high schools and getting into better high schools for my future. And also just because like when I travel to places that speak French or whatever, I can talk in French, and then like I can like speak for my parents. Cause like my mom's been talking about going to French or something, and then me speaking for her. And so I just think that's pretty cool.
I would say the one thing that I appreciate most about the fact that like I'm also bilingual, but I speak Spanish. And the reason why is because I took Spanish in middle school. I took Spanish in high school. I took Spanish in college, and that gave me the groundwork for the language. But realistically, you don't learn a language by learning it in school. You learn it by talking it, and you learn it by going to places that speak the language. So like the school aspect is really important to get the groundworks of how the language works, because every language is different and every language has its own little quirks, right? So you learn that in school. But the real way to get that down and become fluent is you take that groundwork that you took from school, and then you go to Haiti, you go to France, you go to the Ivory Coast, you go to parts of New Orleans where they speak French.
Montreal, Kevin Owens.
You go to Montreal and you speak with all these people in that language. And if you stay there, like the best way that I had good Spanish, but I am fluent in Spanish now, and that's because I spent a month, 2 weeks in Spain, and that changed everything for me.
All right. So as we wrap this up, and AJ spoke a little bit about the best advice Coach Franchise gave him. KJ, this ought to be interesting. What's the best advice
Yes.
that I've ever given you as your father? And I am a little scared about your answer, but KJ, you have the floor.
Most of the time, whether it's after a practice or after a game, you would just like say, head down, keep grinding. And like at first I didn't think much of it, but when I thought about it, I was like, that's kind of cool, because like you just keep your head down, keep grinding till you reach success, and then you just keep getting better.
All right. And I think I'm going to get out while I can. And in all sincerity.
You don't want to cry, Coach? Is that what it is?
Man, I do it more than anybody would know. But I sincerely want to thank both of our sons. This is a brainchild of Coach Franchise. Mike said, hey, we got to get our kids together and take advantage of the opportunities. And again, AJ does not remember, but throughout his career, because Mike's in Anne Arundel County and I was in Montgomery County, we would just hear the stories and back and forth. And I'm like, that's kind of cool, Mike. And you're like, wait a second. And to have people that know us in that know both you, AJ, and I, and I'll share those relationships off camera. It was wonderful hearing what everybody had to say about my friend's son, and to be able to watch my own son grow and develop by purposely taking a step back. And that's what sometimes you have to do as a parent. It's not necessarily a father or mother. You do what you can to put your kids in the best possible position. And, I'm very grateful to my friend Mike, and I'm very grateful to KJ and AJ for giving us time. And Mike, you want to take us out, sir?
Yeah, I want to take us out. And I did say before the show started, I wanted to share 2 stories when I knew he was going to be pretty good. The first one is his first year playing football. We were actually not too far. We were in Baltimore County, and he was playing line, and they threw an interception. He was playing tight end, and they threw an interception, and the dude cracked back, blocked him. I'll never forget this, like it was yesterday. And he laid on the ground for a little bit, and he was 6th grade, and we were playing against 8th graders. So I thought to myself, oh, shit, this is it. Excuse my French, sorry. And I said, if he gets up, he's going to be good for life. If he stays down or he goes out the game, then he really don't want to do this. And he got up, and he stayed in the game. Now, the only other time is like, okay, so he did that. And now it's like, how do we handle competition? Is he tough enough to do it? I remember at Good Counsel, midway through the 3rd quarter, I saw him step on a kid's hand, like stomp the kid's hand. And after the game, I asked him, I said, why did you do that? And he said, he cup checked me in the 1st quarter. And I told him if he cup checked me again, I was going to break his hand. He said, so Dad, he cup checked me again. So I stomped and broke his hand. And I knew then he was crazy enough and mean enough to play in the NFL. It was that moment right there. He's laughing, and he probably don't remember this, but that was the moment that I knew that he was going to be able to play at the highest level possible, because he was just mean enough to to do what he did and to back up his words. So I'll never forget those days. I know he's laughing about it, but he's probably forgotten. But
it's just funny to me. Like, that's like, of all the times that you could have thought that I was going to play in the NFL, it was the time that I was just tired of his shit. I was over him. I was like, oh, okay, you want to play? Let's play then. Let's play.
Well, I knew you, because that next level is so hard, and so he was tough. You got to be on some get back stuff at times, and I knew at that point, as soon as I saw him do that, I was like, oh yeah, he'll be okay. He'll be Power 5 and everything. He's good.
And speaking of being good, this was a heck of a good episode. And fans, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project, is releasing a book this fall called Finding the Balance: My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. The goal of this book is to give greater insight into student-athlete motivation to improve student-athlete academic and athletic success through the lens of Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic journey, from being an underperforming student-athlete to an academic and athletic leader. This book is also designed to be a guide for student-athletes, parents, teachers, coaches, administrators, and anyone else who has a passion to help student-athletes succeed academically and athletically. You can pre-order your copy of the book directly from our website at www.ckasaveproject.org. This book is scheduled for release in the fall of 2021. We hope you enjoyed today's show. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. You can follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.